Hey guys, welcome back to Chris and Retro. Today's video is going to be on a subject matter that I find challenging, and I have found it challenging. And the topic was, of course, I've heard of the word before, but the topic was introduced to me several years back by my friend Brian. Brian is a former law enforcement officer and a combat veteran, canine combat veteran, and has seen a lot of stuff in his life. And he introduced me the concept of meekness and the necessity of it as men, and the our connotation of what meekness is versus the actuality of it and the benefit of it in our life. So on this subject matter today, I thought I'd get into a little bit with you guys, some of the things I've observed, and maybe it'll be something that can rethink how you consider yourself in this world. First, I want to let you know over the next few days, we haven't really nailed down a time yet, but former U.S. Congressman Tom Reed will be joining the show. He's a dear friend of mine. We're going to talk about probably a wide variety of things. We haven't really set the agenda yet, but both of us have, tough seasons that we go through, and we have some really great conversations, and we thought we would just kind of share some of that with you and see if it's something that might inspire some thought in you and maybe motivate you beyond your current state. So look for that. Tom Reed will be on here, I imagine, over the next 3-4 days, something like that. All right, meekness. We'll start with, so I don't know what your thoughts are on meekness, but I'm going to share a screen real quick with you about what we're defining it as. So meekness, by definition, and on the old famous Google, is the fact or condition of being meek, submissive. All his friends made fun of him for his meekness. Now, I find it interesting that's how it starts with the definition. You look at patience, long suffering, forbearance, resignation, gentleness. Those are all very passive, taking a beating type of things. And that was really my thought of meekness in the past, is like, that's really, a way to get run over. So if you click down, now it starts getting into mildness, softness, peacefulness, docility, modesty, humility, humbleness, unpretentiousness. I like that one. You're not pretentious. I'm not sure about the submissive stuff. I mean, having a jiu-jitsu background, submission isn't really a good thing for me. Compliance, obedience, acquiescence. Those are all things that make it seem just very mild-mannered. And I find it interesting that when we're looking at we're looking at definitions of this stuff. It's just crazy to me that everything here, the attitude or quality of heart, whereby a person is willing to accept and submit without resistance to the will and desire of someone else. I'm not sure that I necessarily agree with those definitions of what meekness is relative to how Brian and I have discussed this. I think meekness, at least as we've discussed it, is a state of mind that says, I don't always have to be at war. And this is why this coaching has been valuable to me, because I find that in the absence of meekness in my life, I generally take the fight. I will take on the whole fight. And for me, it's really important that I battle that fight and that I go forward and I find a way to push through because of those I love and because of what I stand for and all those things. And in the absence of meekness, I'm taking on my entire fight. Now, being a person that believes in God and a higher power and spiritual nature things, it leaves no place for my God to take control because I'm taking the lead on everything. Meekness is really my role as a co-pilot in this whole situation. God is taking the lead. I'm along for the ride, following my purpose along the way. That's where meekness plays in, is it's not being subservient to be run over and be submissive to all things that come around you. It's just simply understanding that there's a stronger entity that I put my faith in that will fight those fights for me. And my job is to just stand in line in the rank and file of being a soldier of a king. That's what meekness is in my life. And that's a differentiator for me, and why I had such a struggle with it, because I always looked at it like these definitions: be subservient, get run over, be the weak one, be the one that people mock, and all this other stuff. And to me, I don't really co-sign that. It doesn't really work well for me. I've talked a lot about my channel on the YouTube and the TikTok channel. And I'm going to share with you something real quick here. I had this out the other day, and I hope it's, useful relative to this subject, but we go through these times, and I'll stop the music. Invictus is a famous poem by William Ernest Henley. I really like it a lot. Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. So that drive, that fight, because no matter how bad things are getting, I'm going to drive forward. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloodied but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. I find that to be a motivating poem just because of my nature. It's a call to war. It's to face your opponents and face your darkness and face it full on. But one thing that poem is missing, even though I'm applauding it by putting it on TikTok, is that the whole time it's me fighting the fight. And in that place doesn't really preside meekness. So where does meekness fit? Well, meekness fits for me in my capacity, in terms of my rank and the order that I should operate underneath my king, who is God. God has a plan and purpose for me. He's told me he would protect me and keep me. He's told me he will fight my fights for me. And I have a purpose and calling in this life that I need to be unashamed and unafraid. And so that's where meekness does not require me to be subservient to anything. It requires me to be a follower of the calling that I have. Invictus, that poem, I find it very motivating for the grind and the drudgery of every single day and the willingness to go forward when things just seem so bleak. But it should have a caveat that says my spiritual nature is what's driving the power in me, keeps me motivated to keep moving forward. My meekness just means I understand my order in terms of who my commander is, and then I'm able to fight my fight. Guys, this is a short video, but what I want to do is make sure I got out here this concept of meekness, because it is something that, we as men, we look at that definition and go, I don't want to get run over. I don't want to be I'm not submissive. I'll fight my fights. And that's been a real problem for me, because I will fight my fights. And the problem is I get myself in a real bind because I run out of gas, resources, stamina, skill set, you name it. But I'm still out there swinging in an unwinnable battle when the entire time all I had to do was just relax, tone down my attitude a little bit, and give it over to my higher power and say, take this stuff that I can't control and I'll follow in suit as you call. Hope this short video was useful for you today. I appreciate you guys very much. Please like and subscribe, comment. If you have additional thoughts on meekness, I'd be curious to hear what it is, because this is a subject that I think there's definitely a connotation about the word. And I think there's a way that it can be applied in our lives, especially as alpha men that really see our role as defenders of our family and uniquely created to do unique things in this world relative to our aggressive stance on certain things. I think meekness has a function for us, and that is to recognize there is a power bigger than us that actually is leading the way and taking care of a lot of the things that we are unable to take care of, and foreseeing things coming that we could not possibly see. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Between now and the next time we talk, I'm going to do everything I possibly can do to stay out of trouble. And I hope you do too.